So good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for attending our first Zoom webinar, Implementing Culturally Responsive Dementia Care Program, as part of our Bringing Communities Together Around Brain Health and Aging, hosted by the Social Planning Council of Ottawa. The Social Planning Council of Ottawa was established in 1928 and has been a catalyst for sustainable social and economic development. At the Social Planning Council, we bring people together. We talk about issues that impact them, we listen and we learn, and then we work together to talk of the issues to create practical solutions, just like we are here today to talk about dementia. We research, we evaluate, and we put in great funding applications, and we help to empower marginalized communities to have a better life in Ottawa. Together, we build a ladder and take one step at a time. Along the way, we have fun and share foods. Sadly, due to COVID-19, we are not having as much fun or sharing food. My name is Sybil Braganza, and I'm the coordinator for the Ethnocultural Senior Programs at the SPCO. I work with over 20 different ethnocultural groups, many of who are here today and are still climbing that safety ladder. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Kieran Holmes. Kieran is our research student at the Social Planning Council of Ottawa. He will be co-facilitating with me today. Kieran was actually involved with a research project with SPCO in 2018. Hi, Kieran.
Hi, Sybil.
Before we begin, I would want to thank our funders, Centre for Aging and Brain Health Innovation, Ontario Trillium Foundation, and the New Horizons for Seniors program. Without their help, this project would not have been possible. Today's webinar is intended to provide information to community grassroots leaders so that they can look at implementing or thinking about implementing their own culturally responsive dementia care program. The agenda for today will kick off with a brief introduction on dementia and culturally responsive dementia care that will be done by Kieran. It'll then be followed by a guided panel discussion by our 4 leaders from the 4 different ethnocultural communities, followed by a question-answer period, and then I will present a resource guide created by SPCO to help our communities, our grassroots communities who want to recruit and retain volunteers. Just a few housekeeping rules that I mentioned before. If you have questions for our community leaders, you can put them in the chat box and send it directly to me, Sybil Braganza, and we will take your questions at the end of the panel. Please ensure that you are muted and your video is off. All of these webinars will be recorded and uploaded to our website, and the website is Ottawa Community Partnership for Health Equity. Associated resources will also be posted there. Going forward, the webinars will be held every Tuesday for the next 8 weeks, except for the long weekend. It will be held from 10 a.m. to 11:30. You can check our schedule on the website to receive further notices, or you can connect with me directly. Thank you once again for attending. We're excited for all of you to be here and hope you will learn from this presentation. I will now turn it over to Kieran.
Thanks, Sybil, for that introduction. Super happy to be here. Just to reiterate one of the things Sybil said, if you want to ask questions, because we're going to have this panel discussion later, so if you want to ask questions to the panel, please write it in the chat, but you'll see that it's regularly set to everyone. Just change the recipient to Sybil Braganza, S-Y-B-I-L, and then Sybil will get it directly and she'll go through them, and we'll try and answer some of those at the end of the session. All right, to get the next slide, please. So first off, we just wanted to situate these webinars in the broader change piece that our culturally responsive healthy brain program is trying to create. So it's just a piece of the puzzle. Our current strategic priorities around this initiative targets change at 3 distinct levels. At the grassroots level, so increasing appropriate social opportunities and reducing isolation. We do this by continuing and expanding social activities led by peers. So these community programs that we're going to hear about today. At the service provision level, So increasing cultural competence in mainstream services in order to then increase access to these services. And at the systems or policy level, so establishing more humane and sustainable models of social care in Ottawa. And so this webinar, and we have another webinar coming up on September 1st, both of these are looking at change at the grassroots level. Next slide, please. So we've collaborated with our longstanding partners to pilot culturally responsive dementia supports, all with different models appropriate to each community and their current capacity. So we'll be hearing about 4 of these groups today, like Sybil said. And well, in this diagram, here's some of the elements that the programs address, with different groups then emphasizing certain elements or certain needs, depending on, like I said, their capacity and what they need, what kind of support they need. So some people might be looking at more helping out with caregiver and family support, while some people might be looking at more helping out with prevention and early detection. And that's kind of, I think, a beautiful part of today's webinar. We get to hear from 4 distinct models, and so there is no one way to do it. Next slide, please. A little bit about dementia before we get into things. So according to the Dementia Society, dementia is an umbrella term for a group of symptoms. So with Alzheimer's being the most common cause of these symptoms. And in Alzheimer's, these plaques and tangles accumulate in the brain, and it leads to cell toxicity and dysfunction. So yeah, dementia symptoms often express themselves in ways that may interfere with cognition, so memory, thinking, language, behavior, so mood, personality, or social skills, and even physical functioning, so movement, visual field changes, coordination, balance, etc. And it's most common among those over 65 years of age, although that isn't to say that younger people can't also get dementia. Young onset dementia can appear in those in their 30s to 50s, and that actually accounts for approximately 3 to 5% of dementias. And then lastly, we thought it would be important to mention here that people with dementia and their immediate family often become isolated, so not included in activities they used to participate in. And the isolation for the individual and the caregiver is a huge problem that we can all have a role in changing. And that's what this initiative is significantly about. It's about how ordinary people can make sure people with dementia and their caregivers continue to be included in their community. Next slide, please. So some stats now, just to situate us. As of 2016, so this is from the census, there were 7.5 million immigrants living in Canada and 255,800 immigrants living in Ottawa-Gatineau, so nearly 30% of the population. And these numbers are obviously growing. From July 1st to October 1st, 2019, Canada actually experienced its largest growth in population within a single quarter. The increase was 208,234 and driven primarily by immigration. So 83.4% of that number was from immigration. In Canada, we also had 564,000 people living with dementia in 2016. And this number increases by approximately 25,000 every year. So that would put us at 100,000 more than that stat now in 2020. And so dementia doesn't discriminate, meaning we have this large aging immigrant population who face distinct challenges, such as lack of knowledge on dementia, stigma, culturally inappropriate care, and even biased assessment tools. Now the goal of this webinar is not to cover these barriers in detail, but just to highlight the amazing work that can be done to help address them. So I'm not going to go into detail now. If you are interested in learning more about these barriers, tune into our webinar on September 15th. It's all about health equity and aging. Next slide, please. So a quick note on language diversity. Here I wanted to highlight the heterogeneity of ethnocultural populations through the example of language. So to the left is a diagram representing the languages spoken in Canada, and to the right is the immigration bubble there expanded. So each one of those bubbles represents a different language spoken in Canada. And I want to, yeah, so even an immigrant population coming from the same country is often very heterogeneous. For example, the first language of someone coming from India may speak Hindi, Bengali, Punjabi, Tamil, Urdu, or 100 other languages. And so community-based dementia care can help address this heterogeneity in a way that is often not feasible for large-scale healthcare models and institutions. So to address this issue in healthcare provision completely would require the hiring of an extremely diverse staff. And while diversifying staff is strongly encouraged and excellent and needed, it would be really hard to account for every culture in Canada. So if those that belong to the communities that need representation create their own initiatives, it can really help mitigate the culturally appropriate care that the diverse aging population requires. All right, so that was a bit of an introduction. I'll hand it back over to Sybil, and then we'll get going on to our discussion.
Thank you, Karen. So today we're going to hear from 4 of our ethnocultural leaders who have implemented their own programming. Why are these programs unique? These programs are culturally responsive and community-based, providing support for ethnocultural minority seniors with early dementia and their caregivers. So because of the cultural stigma associated with dementia, we notice that most of the programs are either called brain health or mind boosters. And the aim of these programs is to support and meet the needs of an age-friendly, dementia-friendly community by building social capital and enabling natural support networks of ethnocultural groups. So we see that this is a natural flow, that as this program is evolving, more people are getting involved, and the connection that the seniors build is increasing. And we hope that the City of Ottawa will also implement, along with the age-friendly strategy, will include dementia-friendly strategies in there. The programs are offered to all members of the community in order to remove the stigma. And we realized that a lot of the community members were not attending it because they were feeling they were losing their memory or feeling very stigmatized and therefore very isolated from their own communities. So that's why we said, let's open it to everybody within the community. Another aspect of this program is that it's the caregivers are attending these programs too, because they find it very useful and they can support their loved ones. I must say that all these programs offer a safe space for seniors to connect, and the programs reflect the values and cultures of the community being served. So there's language, there was food when it was available, the activities are very culturally based. And we know now that the success of these programs show that a sustainable model of service delivery that is culturally appropriate and is community-based, which is the key word, can be implemented in any underserved ethnocultural communities. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our 4 panelists. We have Wenjin Ho from the Kannada Chinese Senior Center. And Wenjin will be speaking on her program, Half-Day Social Connections with the Community. We then have Anil Sukija from the Indo-Canadian Community Center, and Zeba Taj, who is the coordinator of the Brain Health Program. Mary Formosa is from the Ottawa Valley Filipino Canadian Senior Citizen Association, and her program is on Mind Boosters. And finally, we have Ifra Mahmood from Derail, a youth and senior serving center, and their program is called Healthy Living and Healthy Minds. So thank you, all of you, for attending. I know that you've been excited about coming on the webinar and sharing your stories and your program. So can I ask everybody to briefly introduce your program? What services or activities do you provide? And how many participants and volunteers are attending? And maybe we can start off with Anil first.
Thank you, Sybil. As she introduced, I'm Anil Sukhija, Chairperson of Seniors for Indo-Canadian Community Center, that is ICCC. We started this pilot program in the month of July 2019 in collaboration with Social Planning Council. And we started this program with 10 participants. We had also trained about 12 volunteers to help us every session there used to be 2 volunteers when we were meeting physically every week for 4 hours, once a week. But because of pandemic now, these sessions are being done or held virtually. And whether we were doing it physically or we are doing it now virtually, this is with the help of a professional coordinator, Zeba, who is also here present in the panel today. And during a typical session, of course, we do have some chair exercises, light chair exercises, because every participant is a senior. And then she does some brain exercises, some puzzles, some shows some useful videos. And quite often we invite professionals also to give us advice on different subjects that will be useful to the participants also. We had, for example, a few sessions with a physiotherapist also. She came for a few things. So this has been going on for about a year now, more than a year now. And we hope to continue this further.
Thanks, Anil. Wenjin, did you want to introduce yourself next, or your program?
Yes. Hello, hi everybody. My name is Wenjin. I worked with seniors, mainly lived in Kanata area. Since last year, early in January, we started to have a pilot project. We're trying to work with seniors who are facing the early Alzheimer's symptoms. And we use the City of Ottawa's community house, which is very convenient for seniors to approach within in their community. We had this project for 3 months, and because it's only just a pilot project, we just wanted to see if seniors can really benefit from this half-day community connection, social, activity. The reason why we did this because over the years, when we have social drop-in programs for seniors, we notice more and more seniors just sitting there without any interaction with other seniors. So that is the reason we decided to try out this new program and see how it works. And in the meantime, we were trying to apply funding. Unfortunately, we got turned down. However, luckily, we had this chance to connect, to work with Social Planning Council. So for the first program, we have around 8 seniors plus 6 volunteers. So the seniors can be taken care when they are in the program by the volunteers. And we trying to provide cultural relevant activity for seniors. For example, like Tai Chi, very slow. And also we trying to see if we can continue to have them play mahjong or this kind of more that related to Chinese, something that they're familiar with when they were young. So when we started to work with Social Planning Council for this project, so-called reducing isolation of ethnocultural seniors and their caregivers, started from September, we started with volunteer training first. We developed a volunteer handbook first in Chinese, and then we have our volunteer trained first. And then after that, we started to have this program early in this year for 3 weeks only because of the pandemic. We had to stop. And after that, because we can't meet in regular setting, so we have to switch to WeChat. That's another tools for Chinese community. We formed this group and continue to connect with seniors through WeChat daily. We also try to connect them with the telephone assurance, which is the mainstream community providing this kind of services. However, for the agricultural community, especially Chinese, are not really use of the telephone assurance. So we have to continuing to introduce what is this program to their caregiver, so they can help the seniors to understand why the facilitator call every day.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
very much. You got a lot going on. Mary, do you want to go next? Just a brief introduction. What activities you do or service you provide, and approximately how many people you have with how many participants and how many volunteers.
Hi, good morning. I'm Mary Formoso from I'm with the Filipino-Canadian Seniors Association, and with 3 other Filipino members of this community, we accepted the challenge of Civil to be with this brain health program. We call our group Mind Boosters of Ottawa. We believe that, we started with only a few participants who are just, actually ours is for prevention. They might be starting some, getting forgetful, but they don't have this early onset of dementia yet. Because, we believe also that certain healthy brain lifestyle would prevent the early onset of dementia. So what I did, we engaged these participants in activities that they love doing, which is cooking and gardening. So we introduced we brought some vegetables, Filipino vegetables that are available in Asian groceries, and did some cooking session, gardening session with them. Some are also interested in word puzzle, so we bought some books in the dollar store. We had one participant who was missing her crossword puzzle because they stopped subscribing to the Ottawa Citizen. So what I did, I cut up the pages in our Ottawa Citizen, and when I get a chance, I delivered to her, and this really made her day. Going back to her daily routine of doing the crossword puzzle. And we're still struggling with our plan to do this virtual exercise and some board games that others are doing, but hopefully we will get there. In the meantime, I try to join the group of Ziba so that I can get some ideas, and so before we start, maybe by September we can do that.
Nice, thanks. And then finally, Ifra, would you mind introducing your program?
Thank you very much, Amar. My name is Ifra Mahmoud. I'm from the Real Youth and Senior Service. We are a non-profit organization. The meaning of the Real is love and care. The word is Somali word. So our Dementia initiative support low-income community seniors who came from different backgrounds. We support them emotionally, physically, help they needed. Our program makes a huge difference, because we speak the language of our participants. This is so important because when you forget about everything, the world could seem like a scary place. But Having someone who speaks your language can bring you familiarity and give you comfort in the times of difficulties. So that's what we support our people. Usually before the pandemic, we used to make them food for friends. They used to come together, dancing, talking, enjoying. And we used to do the exercises. We have like about 12 volunteers. We have a nurse, we have a doctors, psychiatrist, we have I'm a pharmacist, teachers. Our volunteers, they have a different background educationally. And we are all educated people. So we stand together and say, how can we help our community? We established 2018 April, our organization. So now we are a charitable organization. We have our own office, thanks to SPCO. They support us, SPCO, wherever they have it, and we help in our community. Through the pandemic time, we do phone calls. Some of them we do chatting. If they leave their family, we spoke to them for face-to-face, like chatting in the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Those their own, and they don't know how to use the video call. We spoke to them as a phone and tell them whatever they need. And we help them mentally. And in case they need us for grocery, we make them the grocery. We help them wherever we can. If they have their money, we take them with the mask and then we do the groceries.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, let's get it moving. So the first question I wanted to ask everybody is, and actually a lot of you already answered it, so it's just what led to your decision to develop these programs? Was there specific demand from the community? And so I'll ask Anil again to answer that first, if you don't mind.
Yes, this idea of starting this program started about 2 years ago when SPCO had a forum on dementia, and we had invited a very knowledgeable panel for discussion, and amongst the audience were the quite renowned doctors and eminent citizens. And during that forum, it came out after that when we did the analysis that everybody was in opinion that we should start a program, or rather every community should start a program of its own, because the participants feel comfortable when they are dealing with their own community people, for the simple reason that they share the same language, which is one of the most important factors. They share the same language, they share the same culture, their food habits are same. So this is how this idea came up. And then we started, as I said earlier in my introduction, that we started this program as a pilot project jointly with collaboration of the Social Planning Council. And it was me and Sybil that we worked out all the program details. And that's how we started this program, and we named it, it's called Brain Health Program. So it started exactly on, if I remember the date, 8th of July in 2019.
Right. And so you actually had this like a seminar or a forum. You had a forum, right? Where you talked to people within the community.
Well, at that time when we had this forum,
yeah,
we talked to the invited about 60 odd community leaders and service providers and doctors. And I remember distinctly in that seminar, one of your research paper was also read in that seminar, the research that you had done.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the outcome of the recommendation of the people who attended this. So they were the representatives of the community. from
Okay.
different streams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. I'll ask Ifra next. I understand and you kind of already answered this again, but you kind of, it was firsthand experience, right? That led you to think that something needs to be done.
Okay. The thing is that lead our decision of forming this program is because we have a family members who suffers dementia, which is inspired us to further research and analyze our community, ultimately coming to the conclusion that our community has a huge need due to the language barrier, lack of support, and all of a lack knowledge of the healthcare system.
Thanks. Yeah. Mary, did you want to answer next? Why or what led you to decide to develop your program? And you're muted. Sorry, Mary.
Sorry. So when I started noticing that most of my friends and me too, like we are starting to have this short-term memory loss. We would share stories like opening the fridge, not knowing what to get. So I said, oh, we're now aging. So it's good to have a good quality of life while aging. So to educate myself, I thought, why not, join this brain health program and help my friends while we age together.
Right. And if I understand correctly, what you're telling me before, it was kind of COVID, like it was the pandemic that sort of led to this. You were seeing like isolation in your community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you wanted to address that.
Yeah. So because we started only this June,
yeah,
and it was quite difficult. So we tried calling first by phone. We have this telephone brigade, and we from A to Z, we took all the names and then of our organization, because luckily we belong to this Filipino Canadian Association. So we were able to get in touch with many of them, but Filipinos are quite shy. So it took a while for us to get their trust in participating in this activity that we're doing.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. And then I'll just ask Zeba, because I know you've had some personal experience as well. Do you want to speak on that?
Hello, everyone. My name is Zeba, as I had mentioned earlier. I think because of the stigma associated with dementia, and it is highly recommended that we should have these type of webinars and workshops, and even have some training available for the service providers, for the community leaders to work with the family members and also with the dementia people who are having dementia. And the most important thing my personal experiences, because I worked at long-term care in dementia unit, and I have seen many experience. It has gone through a lot of things, which when you are working in that situation, the main problem was language barrier, as Anil had mentioned, and the food. So one of the examples I can give is when I was working at the long-term care, I saw this person um, who was completely isolated, completely mismatched in that mainstream environment. And I was happened to be from the same country, and I know that he was not supposed to eat pork, and which in our religion we are not allowed. So when I tried to convince the supervisor that he should not eat pork, but they completely refused, and they said the family has to intervene.
Wow.
So sometimes I'm in a situation I wanted to help, but I cannot unless the family and have to make it possible, or they should have these strict rules If anybody is putting their loved ones in the long-term case, they should have strict regulations or rules what food and what are their likes and dislikes. Otherwise you end up being completely isolated and nobody is going to care about that. And another one is, if you uh, happen to uh, diagnose dementia at an early stage, there is a lot of chances that you can delay the process. For doing that, you have to have the education, you have to have the resources, you have to have some training to see the signs of the early stages. I would recommend to watch this movie, which I saw. It's called Still Alice. It's a movie.
Alice, yeah.
Yeah, it's based on this topic. And sometimes I showed this topic to some of my group, and the caregivers, they liked it very much. And now they started, like, I get some emails and phone calls, like it was 2 years back, that they started looking for these initial signs. And when they have when they saw the signs, and they said that they have to take some action. So they contacted Dementia Society, they contacted resources, community workers, all those things. So it is very important to get that information right away to help our loved ones and the caregivers. And one of the things, another experience is in our community, it's very, very close to me, uh, my group. So when I was noticing the change in one of these member, and when I tried to reach out to their family, the family completely refused, that they don't see anything wrong in their loved ones.
Yeah.
I said, as a coordinator, I see the signs, I see the changes in his behavior, in his understanding, in his memory, in his approach. So it's important that they have to contact. So when the family refused, and after a year, it had become extremely difficult for him to keep at home and to deal with these situations. So they landed him at long-term care. So, it is very important for all these signs to be aware of the situation, to aware of the things which really relates to dementia. And as Anil mentioned, that we have a lot of good programs, and Social Planning Council of Ottawa was kind enough to enroll me to Activity Connections. This is a website, and it has been approved by National Certification for Activity Professionals.
We'll get to that question later. I know you have a lot of resources that you'd like to share.
Okay.
So I'll ask Anil now, and this is the next question. Thank you, though. That was great.
Welcome.
Why do you believe community-led programming is essential, Anil?
I briefly mentioned it earlier also, because
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
as Zeva also highlighted one, which is really pathetic, that because of the cultural knowledge, the community knows that what are the likes and dislikes of the individual. Like she mentioned about a food habit, right? There's certain communities, like for example, in Muslim community, ham, they don't eat pork. In a Hindu community, they don't eat beef. So now these cultural differences only the community people can understand, right?
Yeah.
For them, for the other people, for them, whether it is pork or beef or whatever, it's same thing. It's a non-vegetarian food. But there are certain things, minute things, which people of the same community understand. And not only food, it's the language also. There are certain terms that you can explain to the participant which are prevalent in your own language.
Yeah.
Even if you try to say it in English or any other language, you don't have that effect. So language plays a more important, very important role. You can, they can understand and they can become a part of that community if they are using or talking in the same language.
Right.
So these are a few of the, points I would say that are very important. because otherwise they will feel isolated. I mean, if you are put in a long-term care or anywhere and you don't know the language, you don't know you don't like the foods or whatever it is, you will be isolated even in a long-term care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And you're also telling me that you think there's less hesitancy when it's coming from someone that understands your background, right?
exactly.
They're more likely
Right.
to accept your
Yeah.
advice.
That's right.
Thanks, Anil. Wenjin, do you wanna speak on that? I know you were telling me about you think it's essential for early diagnosis, but so the question is why do you believe community-led programming is essential?
I think Neil already spoke a lot, regarding to this question. To me, I think the grassroots ethnocultural community groups knows their language, customs, and culture well, so they can better communicate, interact, and effectively address the needs from their community. I guess it's almost the same like I just mentioned. The Chinese seniors usually are more healthy and they enjoy culturally related activities. So to help them to be continuing this brain exercise and so on, we need to know their culture and help them in an effective way. Yeah.
And so do you think if you have these community-led programs and there are people within the community who are then have educated themselves on dementia and its symptoms, then it would be helpful because of early diagnosis, right? You can recognize it in people from your community, from your church, from your wherever, and right? Yeah.
Well, yes, because this topic in Chinese community still it's very kind of like a taboo. People don't talk about it, and many of them wait until it was too late. So during the program, when we talk to through the program, we talk to the seniors, with more not serious way, but trying to pass out the information, the knowledge to them, to the caregiver. So people start to understand, so they can detect in a very early stage, and came to talk to us, and so we can according to what they told us, we can provide some information for them to connect to the appropriate services. So I guess this is very important for those two programs. It's informal, but also very useful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can be more effectively, address the needs.
Thanks, Wenjin. So this is my next question, and it's kind of like a big part of why we're all here. It's what are some lessons learned, or what is some practical advice you can give to other community leaders? So maybe some of the people who are watching today, who want to implement a similar program to your own. Wenjin, would you mind answering this again first?
The lessons that we had learned from the program, it's just from the experience. Okay, first you have to have well-organized programs with skilled and passionate staffs and volunteers to run the program. And also you have to have the right learning material for the volunteers training. Because the second term, when we had chance to do this again, we spent quite a bit of time just for the volunteer training. And then, of course, the funding for the program. For the leader and caregivers, my advice is to first educate yourself. It's very important that the facilitator and the leader and the caregiver has a knowledge of what is this dementia in Alzheimer's disease, so they know better, so they can help their loved ones and themselves when they encountered the situation.
Mm-hmm. So
Mm-hmm.
if I could just interrupt you there. So how did you go about educating yourself? Were there any resources you used?
Well, in fact, in Ottawa, the Dementia Society has a lot of material, and you can, like Zeba was mentioned about the movies and so on. For me, because my clients mainly are speaking Mandarin, so I have to develop a Mandarin handbook. So that way, not only just volunteer, we can also share with the caregivers. So I've been reading and watching lots of material and related information workshop and so on. And also I wanted to set the last one, support. We have to as a facilitate, I try to link the caregiver to a support group, peer support group. It's very important because seeing the aging community with two generations, the generations who taking care of their parents, they need support too.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not only just educated what is this disease, but we also provide what you can receive, or get support from the community. Right. So I would say two things: educated yourself, and get some support.
Excellent answer. Thanks, Wenjin. Ifra, so I know we were talking before, and you said that some of your advice was actually to go and interview family members beforehand.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could speak on that a bit. Like, what is that process? What kind of questions, or what do you want to learn about family, their family?
The advice I will give to other community leaders who would like to impact with the similar project would be have a confidence first and conduct a good research. Mm-hmm. But not just a general research. Interview the family members and try to emphasize them. If you do that, then I personally believe not only will be participant and the family gain from that experience, but so you will. Okay, once you interview in the family members, because this person already has the dementia. So the family member is asking them, what did he like before? What did she like before? How did she act? What was her favorite? What she hated? If she's outgoing person, if she's, whatever he or she, they need it. Some of them, they like reading. So we get the books and we read with them before. Some of them, they like it, music. We used to dance with them, and we never let them, they are alone. We show them we are here, and we try to get their attention, and we never show them they are left it over. So we try always, we are here, don't get scared, still you are beautiful, you are young. We just tell them so many things, they're built in their emotions.
Right. So it's about, understanding who the person is, the person living with dementia, what their interests are, what their personality is, and developing emotional connection, right? Something compassionate.
You're right. That's
awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I think a lot of people could take that advice and do some great things with it. Mary, did you want to answer next? Just what your advice for someone who's trying to do what you guys have done already, start a culturally responsive dementia program.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, it's better to get volunteers that you know, who share the same values that you do. You know that they have empathy for the elderly, and you can see them in some of the community gatherings, social gatherings that we go to. And I would also advise to get maybe younger Filipino volunteers, because there are some activities that we need to do that some of us elderly cannot do.
Hmm. So yeah, so like driving or.
Like driving, yeah. That's why we have 2 casual volunteers in our group
Mhm.
who do the delivery when we were offered some uh, electric fan, the tower fan. We need
Yeah,
some volunteers to do the delivering.
yeah.
When we delivered also some of the healthy food, vegetables we get from the Asian market, we need some younger volunteers.
Right.
It's good to be able to work collectively, and, and also I think we have to get, as others were saying, to get also from our Filipino community, because if we speak the same language, the response that we get from the participants are better.
Okay. Right. Thanks. I think Wenjin was actually talking about, you know, getting a range of volunteers with respect to age. Was it kind of similar reasoning, Wenjin?
Yeah, volunteer. We try to well, because of the sources that we connect with, we trying to help the newcomer to to explore you know career opportunities. So we connect the newcomer with the aging community, from a Chinese aging community, so they can through their through volunteering experience, they can explore their future career, and also helping their community. This is what we one of our volunteer resources. Uh, it works.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to Zeba now. What were some of those resources that you were talking about that you think would be beneficial?
Okay. I think the first thing is to work with the community leaders, and we all have to work together to get to know what we are doing, and we can help each other to implement or improve our programs. For example, I attended, when we started this brain health program, I happened to attend adult program at Algonquin College to get some training and information and resources. I got a lot of tips from there, because every way you learn, you get something new from each uh, of the community workers, and you plan according to that to make a new program which fits with your group. So and SPCO was kind enough to enroll me to Activity Connections, and this is the website which has been approved by national certification of for activity professionals, and also from Golden Carriers. This is from the website from Australia. I got the membership. So they guide you, they train you how to deal with dementia patients, how to do programs with them, how to how to be help the caregivers, and it's very important to help the community by doing this. So I think the right is thing to get the information and the resources and the training for this. And I did these courses from Australian Dementia Society, which is very well organized and which has a very vast programs dealing with dementia. And in fact, I would recommend all the service providers just to go to their website, Australian Dementia Society, and it's all free and online, and you can do according to your pace. So there are 7 to 8 courses. I did only 2 of them because of time, but it helps a lot to deal with our groups. And the programs, what we included is we got suggestions from 2 of our caregivers to show and tell. As so, we introduced this program in our group, and seniors would to bring something what they liked, and they showed and talked about that. So it helped a lot, and everybody enjoyed the session. And we have various kinds of mind boosting games such as bingo, crossword puzzles, math quiz. I just introduced math quiz for them because it's important to get some math at this age. So they all liked it very much. And trivia games, and we started sharing your stories and experiences. This is also one of the popular programs we have. And watching health related documentaries, what to eat to keep your mind alert, and healthy eating. So all these things helps a lot to create a program for this important dementia people.
Thanks, Ava. And I'll just add. Anil was telling me earlier that well, he's invited anybody who's interested, who wants to figure out like, okay, how am I going to go about starting one of these programs? He said they can come to the ICCC or to Anil's program and observe. So and chat, right, Anil?
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, absolutely. Anybody who wants to start this program, they are welcome. They can attend our session not once, but twice or as many times as they want, and just observe as to what we do, because this will give them a lot of insight as to what we do. They don't necessarily have to come to our unit, I mean, our program. My suggestion would be that the other group leaders also will welcome them. They can visit Chinese program or Filipino or IFRA's program, and then they can take the best out of the lot from every program.
Okay.
And then formulate their own strategy depending on their own community.
Thanks, Anil.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got about 20 minutes left, and so we're gonna keep it moving, and so we have time for questions. So I just
Kiran, I was just going to say that it's just wonderful to hear about the passion and commitment of our 4 leaders, our 4 groups, that they have taken the time to share this with us. But I also wanted to say that within the 4 groups, there's different aspects that we are learning from each other. We find that we don't want to be too prescriptive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said before, that these are 4 distinct models, and they're all fantastic.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to share that. Yep.
Sorry, I just want to include one thing. When I do the seniors program from another group, so half of the participants are Mandarin speaking. So we have somebody who speaks both the languages so that they can translate what we are doing. And it has helped a lot. Like we have around 20 to 25 Mandarin speaking groups in my other group. So if you have a translator who can know both the languages, that will also help.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And we are always there to help anybody if you need any starting program. So we're always there to help.
Right. Yeah, language is huge.
Kiran, do you want to move to the questions from the participants, or?
Yeah, sure. If you think it's time, we can do that.
So one of the questions is, how did you recruit volunteers? And anybody can answer that.
Well, if nobody is answering that, I can do that, because we recruited about 12 volunteers, and we went to our own group. We have a big list of our members, about 400 odd members. We sent a circular and we described to them that we are starting this program and we need to recruit some volunteers. And we had eventually 12 volunteers for our program. and they were trained. They were trained by different service providers. People from Dementia Society also came and gave a talk. So we had 12 volunteers we recruited from our own society.
Thank you, Anil. Anybody else wants to share their thoughts on how you recruited volunteers?
Yeah.
We were fortunate. Oh, we were
Zeba, go
fortunate.
first.
Yeah. Okay. Is it my turn?
Zeba, would you like to go first, and then we'll have Mary?
Sure. I think volunteers also have to have some training and some knowledge. If you are working with the dementia people, it is very important to know the background because it's not easy to work with the advanced dementia or the middle stage dementia. So it's very important to get some training and right education for them as well.
Thank you, Zeba. Mary, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, that it's good to get some volunteers who have experience doing caregiving with the elderly. And also we were fortunate enough that we belong to this Filipino-Canadian association. That's why we were able to get in touch. But because of this situation we are in now, we're just doing it by phone and by emails, but we noticed that the response is better if we call them personally by phone instead of emailing them. Yeah.
Thanks, Mary. And I know that Benjean has created her own training modules, and I'm sure she'll share that with everybody else.
Yeah, in our community, especially through KCSSC, the volunteer never is the issues. We from the beginning, when we have our social activity, we always have a lot of people who are willing to participate as a volunteer. So when we start to have this program, we ask people who would like to be trained more in this area. And so we recruit those people who wanted to, have more training. And like I said, we also, posted this programs and try to recruit people, newcomer. So this is our, our newcomers, our volunteers, resources from, yeah.
Sounds like a great resource, Benjean. Thanks. We'll do one more question because I know we're 12 past 11. What sort of communication did you use to inform the community of the program? So what sort of, I know that a lot of you had posters and spoke one-on-one. What other sort of communication did you have to make members aware of this, that this was happening in the community? Who would like to go first here?
Actually, yes, I can do that. First, we circulated this amongst our members. Our member list is very, we have about 400 people, and we sent them that we are going to start this program. I remember having gone to, every 2 weeks, there is a seminar in Hindu temple, and there was one such seminar on dementia. So I went there. Normally I attend them, but when it was specifically on dementia, we went there and we took some posters and circulated there that this is the program we are going to start, and those who wish to join, if they qualify, they can do that. Because one of the very big challenge was to find the participants, right? That was a big challenge, how to find the participant. If you go to a participant or say, he would never, as it was discussed earlier, maybe social stigma. They wouldn't say, no, this is simply aging. These symptoms are aging. He won't admit that. So one has to talk to, as I think Ifra said, that talk to the family members, their loved ones, and they will tell you, yes, they need this help.
Can I be the second?
Sure. Thank you, Anil.
Thank you. In our volunteer team, we recruit younger generation. They help to make poster and help to spread the news to their peers, because with this the continuing project, we are not only just wanted to target for the elderly aging population, but we also wanted to make that awareness to the younger, younger generation, because they are the one who is going to take care of their elderly. They need to know as well, the knowledge of Alzheimer and aging and dementia, this topic.
Mhm.
And so far, seems like more and more young generation pay attention to this topic, and they help to pass out the information to the community, which is very good. This is what happened in our group. Yeah.
So important to involve the whole community around education and volunteering.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any questions to add or answers for that question?
I will try.
Okay, Irfan.
Thank you, Sylvie. We founded our participant, our own circle, and our own circle by conducting the research and the sample of testing to find the participants. There was no majority challenge that we facing, but rather than minor obstacle, which is we're able to overcome. Okay, our volunteers, some of them, they conducting the researchers. Some of them, they interview the families, and we work with the participants.
Thank you, Irfan. Kiran, are you still there? I just wanted, if you want to add anything.
Not really. I think that's great. I know thank you everybody so much. That was really amazing. And you got some really important information across there. Sybil, I think you have a little something.
Yes, so we can put up our slides.
Yeah.
So I'll briefly present this training guide that was created by a group of our ethnocultural leaders, as well as support from Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And it's basically a volunteer training guide for people in the community, the grassroots community, to use to train volunteers. And it's meant to enhance the volunteer work that has already been done in the community and make it more formalized so that we have more social sustainability. It's also intended to act as a resource to mentor young people from different ethnocultural groups who want to volunteer in their community. The guide starts off with, it's a facilitated guide, talks about the benefits of volunteering and how to recruit volunteers. And then it moves into 7 modules of training, and they're very short training. And these modules also came up from the committee. I won't go into all the modules, but it just covers modules from issues faced by ethnocultural seniors, and this includes ageism, social isolation, language barriers, socioeconomic disadvantage, and dementia. So it covers a little bit about dementia. And then explores what is the definition of caregivers, formal and informal, how to communicate and problem solve, so it involves active listening. And the active listening section has a facilitated discussion and talks about confidentiality, very important within our ethnocultural groups, how to keep things confidential and respect of others' privacy. And being observant and taking care of yourself are the last ones. And we have a section on elder abuse, which is actually developed by our ethnocultural seniors group for a forum that we had last year. Now the last module, that's the very important module that we want the ethnocultural groups to fill in all those blanks. So those modules include, what are some of your cultural values and customs? What are some of your spiritual beliefs? And what are the language and literacy in your community, and aging and lifestyle related issues? So that's the part that we ask the groups to include within this training package. So it's available right now, and it's being actually translated into 6 languages, and the 6 languages are simplified Chinese, French, Punjabi, Spanish, Tagalog, and Vietnamese. So that will be available on the website once that's available, and we'll have that. That's exactly what the website is if you want to take that down. So on behalf of Kiran, myself, and the Social Planning Council of Ottawa and our advisory group that work hard to get this off the ground. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to attend this webinar. We want to thank our esteemed speakers, Winjean, Anil, Zeba, Mary, and Irfan. They provided valuable models and strategies to empower and better inform their own communities. And we hope that you might be able to learn from this. So by coming together today and hopefully joining us for the next webinars, this will be our first step to generate ideas for systems change, increase advocacy efforts and policy recommendations, which are beneficial for all ethnocultural seniors who have dementia and their caregivers. And we also want mainstream organizations to improve and learn from our diverse communities in order to provide more equitable and culturally responsive services. Also, thanks again to our funders, Center for Aging and Brain Health Innovation, Ontario Trillium Foundation, and New Horizons for Seniors programs. Please reach out to SPCO if you have any questions about this webinar or future webinars. Our next one is going to be next Tuesday, which is the 1st of September. And the information on these webinars will be posted on the website as we go along. So thank you again for participating, and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Sybil. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sybil.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. It was a good one.
Okay, guys, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Irfan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Mary. Thanks, Anil.
Thanks, Sybil.
Thanks,
Congratulations
Vinci.
again.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Voila.
Thank you, Sybil.
You're welcome.
Kieran, are you back in Ottawa for the summer?
No, I'm actually in Halifax.
Oh,
Yeah.
talk about a virtual meeting. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm lucky this is virtual.
And we're lucky to have Kiran on board. He's been instrumental in this webinar series.
World has really gone very small.
Thank you.
Hi, Lee.
Very good. We
Thank
learned something
you.
today.
You're going to be on the next one, Lee.
I don't know. Which one?
We'll chat later.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank you
Sybil.
for this webinar.
Thank you,
Thank you
Benji.
for working with you all. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Have a nice summer. Enjoy it while still here. Bye.
Bye.
Kiran, you want to still stick on a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye,
Sybil.
And
Bye. Bye, Judy.
thank you.
Sybil, will the same access information hold for all the webinars, or do we have to check?
I believe so.
We should go.
Okay. I'll just maybe call you, Kiran.
Sounds good. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in.